This is Homework Set 9, questions 9 through 15. Question 9, let's make this multiplication. I'm going to multiply these two binomials together, 5x plus 1 and 5x minus 1. Now, first of all, you may recognize this as a special product, in which case I'll do this as a special product, but then I'll also multiply it completely out. So if you happen to recognize it as a special product like this, these are conjugates. I got 5x plus 1, 5x minus 1, so there's one difference in sign. I got a 5x and a 1, but this is a plus, this is a minus, so there's one difference in sign. Now here's how you can do this. And this comes up a lot, so it's a good thing to know. We're going to square the first term, put a minus sign, and square the second term. All right, this is a special product, and we'll talk about why it works in the next section. But here's what I do. I square the first, put a minus, square the second. Now 5x squared, 5x times 5x, 25x squared, put a minus sign, square the second, 1 squared is 1. There we go. Now, if you don't see it as a special product, or you just want to multiply it out, I'll rewrite it. It's 5x plus 1 times 5x minus 1. Multiply every term in here by every term in here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to distribute this 5x. So 5x times 5x, 25x squared. 5x times negative 1, positive 5x times negative 1 is negative 5x. All right? So I've taken care of everything in here. Well, I took this one and I multiplied it all the way through. Now move over to this one. Take this one all the way through. So 1 times 5x plus 1 times positive 5x is 5x. That's that one. And then positive 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Now you can see that these two terms, they have opposite signs, so they'll drop out. So there's my 25x squared minus 1. Either way you want to get it works. 10, we are expanding, we're squaring a binomial, right? I've got a binomial, two terms, and I'm squaring it. Now there's a template for this one, but let's just go ahead and multiply this out. Then I'll use the template, the shortcut. So here's what I have. If you have 2a squared minus 2 squared, what that really is 2a minus 2 times the quantity 2a minus 2, right? That base appears twice. Now, multiply all the way through. So start with a 2a. 2a times 2a, 4a squared. 2a times negative 2 is just negative 4a. Now, we've taken care of this one. I've multiplied this all the way through. Now move over to this one. Multiply it all the way through. So I'll have negative 2 times negative 2 times 2a is negative 4a, right? Negative 2 times positive 2a is negative 4a, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Now, in the last problem, these two middle terms canceled. Now they don't. They're the same sign. So let's do this. We'll get 4a squared. Now negative 4a minus 4a is minus 8a and plus 4. Now, if you see this as a special product, here's what you do. In any special product like this, where you have two terms and you square, here's what you do. You square the first. Now go ahead and square the first. What do you get? You get 4a squared. All right, so I just write 4a squared. Then you multiply the two together. Now just do it in your head. Multiply these together. What do you get? Negative 4a. But you double it. You double it, right? You double it. You see both of them there? That's why you double it. So multiply them together. You double it. Right, negative, double it, multiply them together. You get negative 4a, double it, you get negative 8a, and then you square the last. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. All right, so the first way I did this is I have a square, so I just wrote them both out, and then I multiplied all the way through, combine like terms. The second way I did it was just recognizing it one of special products, where I square two terms, and I always do it this way as a template. Say it to yourself, write what you say. Square the first. 4a squared. Multiply these two together. Negative 4a, double it. Negative 8a, square the last. Negative 2 squared is 4. And in our number 11, we're going to multiply these two terms by these two terms. All right, so let's start with this 3a squared, and then I'll run it through here and here. All right, so let's start here. All right, so 3a squared times 2a squared. Well, 3 times 2, that's the 6. And what is this? A squared times a squared. You're multiplying, so you add the exponent. So I get 6a to the 4th. Now over here, let's do this one. 3a squared times negative 5. So 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. So I'll get a negative 15 here. Oh, let's do it this way. Minus 15a, right? I've got a squared. So 3a squared times negative 5 is negative 15a squared. So I've taken care of the 3a squareds. I've done this one. Move over here. So what do we have? 2 times 2a squared. Well, that's positive 2 times positive 2a squared is plus 4a squared. And then finally, what is this one here? This is positive 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. So let's count these up. a to the 4th. This is the only term with a to the 4th, and I've got 6 of those. Right, so I've got 6a to the 4th. Now, a squareds. I'm down 15, and I get 4. So negative 15 plus 4 is minus 11a squareds, and then there's that minus 10. That is the product. Question 12, we have a binomial multiplying a trinomial, right? 2 terms, binomial, 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. So binomial times trinomial. So just start here with the x. Run the x through. So first of all, what do I get here? X times x squared. Add the exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. I get an x cubed. Now, x again. Run it here. Positive x times negative 4 is negative 4. Now, careful, I get an x times an x, so there's the x squared, but there's still that y multiplying, right? I still have this y here multiplying. All right, so I get negative 4 x squared y. Now, we have one more of these, so x over to here, I get positive 1x times positive 16 is positive 16. Now, there's an x, no x's to multiply, and there's a y squared. Okay, so I've taken the x through. X cubed minus 4x squared y, positive 16x y squared. Now, move over to this term here. I got a positive 4y times x squared. I'm going to write these in alphabetical order. So I get positive 4y times positive x squared is going to be positive 4x squared y in alphabetical order. Then, all right, so I just did this one here. Doesn't show up too well. Now, come over to this one. Positive 4y times negative 4xy. So positive 4 times negative 4, there's a minus 16. X, but, well, I got a y times a y, so there's a y squared. Do you see it? I just have that x, so that's that one right there, right? This x is that one. And then I get a y times the y. That's the y squared. And then finally, what have we got here? We have 4y times positive 16y squared. So positive 4 times positive 16 is positive 64. And then I get a y times a y squared. Add the exponents, y cubed. Let's combine terms. Now, x squared, x cubed. That is the only x cubed I've got. So I'm just going to write x cubed. Now, do we have any more of these x squared y's? I see I'm down 4 x squared y's. Oh, here they are. Oh, look at that. Negative 4 plus 4. These are gone. Okay, so these are gone. They just add to 0. Now, what about these xy squareds? Xy squareds. I see 16 of them here. Oh, and then minus 16 over here. Isn't this nice? So those xy squareds, those go out. So what's left? The only term left is this 64y cubed. All right, so I'm going to write that. Plus 64y cubed. And there we have it. So I started with this kind of a long set of computing instructions, and I've reduced it to this much more concise set, much more efficient. Well, now here in 13, we have an addition, right? I have this trinomial adding to this trinomial. So let's just remove the parentheses. This parenthesis is preceded by a plus, by no sign at all, so I can just drop it. This set of parentheses preceded by a plus sign, so I can just remove it. So let's just write what we have here without parentheses. 4a squared plus 3a plus 4, and then plus, removing the parentheses, 5a squared plus a minus 3. Combine like terms, how many a squareds? I got 4 of them here and 5 of them over here, so I've got 9 of those a squareds. Now what about a's? A's, I got 3 of them here. I add 1 more over here. So 3 a's plus an a is plus 4a. And then constants, I got a 4, and I subtract 3, so I got a plus 1. There we go. That's it. I added those two together, and I end up with this trinomial. In 14, we're multiplying two binomials together. I got 5 minus 2a, there's 2 terms. 2 minus a, there's 2 terms. So binomial times binomial. Now, it looks different than the ones we've done before, because usually the variable is out in front. Now they're second. And instead of the first term, they're the second term. But it's okay. Let's just multiply as we normally do. So, start here. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times negative a. Positive 5 times negative a is negative 5a. Now, move over here. Negative 2a times 2. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4a. We've got a. And then, finally, negative 2a times negative a is positive 2a squared. Combined terms. I've got that 10. I got negative 5a's and negative 4a's. I'm down 5. I lose 4 more. I'm down 9. 9a's. And then plus 2a squared. Now, this is okay. But if you like to write it in a standard form, you would write the highest degree first. So I'm going to write this. That's a 2. You know, it doesn't really look like a 2 the way I wrote it. But it's supposed to be a 2. So I'm going to take the highest degree term first. So I'll write 2a squared. So descending order. I got a squared minus 9a. So I've got this. 2, 1, none, plus 10. I think that's probably a better way to write it. Last question in this set, 15. I've got a 2-term expression, a binomial times a binomial, and in fact, I recognize these as conjugates, right? I've got 5n, 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 3m, 3m, but there's a sign change. One's plus, one's minus. So there's a template for this, a shortcut. I'm not going to use it. We'll do that in the next section. I'm just going to multiply this out, and you'll see that the two middle terms will cancel. So you'll see that there is a shortcut for this. So write up 5n times 5n, 25n squared. Now over here, 5n times negative 3, m. So 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. I've got an n and an m being multiplied. Now move over here. 3m times 5n plus 15. I'll write in alphabetical order. mn, actually I'm going to write it this way. nm. And then what if I got 3m times negative 3m? Negative 9m squared. Now you see these middle terms? Negative 15 of those nm's plus 15 of those nm's. They add to 0, so they're gone. So I get 25n squared minus 9m squared. And we are done. And that finishes up our questions 9 through 15 in homework set 9.